On a beautiful fall night in Iowa City, Iowa, we are so delighted to have Horace Mann School with us in this episode of Education Exchange, your favorite cable show for the last 27 years. The show was established or was the brainchild of Mr. John Karoff of City High, and with him, Mr. Michael Peterson, who is our floor director today and the cameraman. I am so delighted to have you here tonight. First, on my right-hand side is Lady Esther Hanania, the student and family advocate at Horace Mann, right?
Yes.
And next to this table is a professor from Kirkwood Community College, Dr. Liz Moss. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, not big mistakes. And then an old friend of ours is Julie Robinson, who is the main person in Horace Mann, the principal, and the lady that gives them all the ideas and vision, and have the wonderful staff there.
We have a wonderful staff there, and I don't think I have all the ideas. I said my job is really just to say yes to people, because people have great ideas. This program you're going to hear about tonight was someone else's idea, and all I had to do was say, yes, that's a great idea, do that.
I'm looking forward to hear this, but before we start, I would like to, number one, to congratulate your school for
Thank you.
Number one, for being a survivor, because I work in Sabin, which was born the same year as Horace Mann, as Longfellow, 1917. And I was not there when it was born, 1917, but I enjoyed the building. It was a beautiful building, and eventually it was taken by the administration, and we built Tate High School after that. But now Horace Mann is going to be on the top list of the bond projects of construction in Iowa City.
Right.
Why Mann in particular?
Well, first I would just like to thank everyone who's watching and all the people that are part of our Iowa City School District for voting yes in such overwhelming manner for the bond issue. We think it's going to be a great thing for Mann and the entire district. I think that because Mann was built in 1917, it's a beautiful building. It has beautiful bones, but there's a lot of things that really need to be updated with Mann. We're not ADA compliant, so we're a 3-story building with no elevator, which presents us with a problem and presents some of our families with problems. Our library, it's the smallest library in the district, and we have the smallest playground in the district. Our library serves as a library and a hallway, so to get from one side of the building to the other, you cross through the library. And downstairs, it's the same thing, except to get from one side of the building to another, you cross through a kindergarten room. So we're excited about a new gym. We're excited about a library. We're excited about the music room and the art rooms, that instead of just being in a classroom that's sort of been converted, it's going to be a room that was built for that. And I tell people I'm just excited to have a building that has the same kind of vibrancy and energy as the staff and the kids that are at Mann every day, because I think there's a lot of energy there and a lot of vibrancy, and when you walk in the building, it just looks a little tired. So I'm happy they're going to be able to keep the historical updates, but also bring us into.
And what's really impressive too, that they are going to preserve the historic facade of the building.
Absolutely.
As if it was just born, and that's definitely would be one of the things that everybody will go to see.
Right.
In Iowa City, it will be a landmark, historic landmark. So, shall we start now and talk about this wonderful 5 elements had partnership in order to bring this project to the service of kids and
Right.
the learning experience.
Right.
So
Maybe start with Liz because she's the one that brought the idea to us.
well, that's number one. You are a higher education professor looking at elementary school, and that's really impressive because there has always been a gap between higher education and K-12. So you crossed this bridge. Why did you do that?
Well, so I've taught biology and environmental science at Kirkwood for the last 6 years, and I also have started a community garden at Kirkwood, and I recognized that there were a lot of families who wanted to grow something but didn't necessarily have the skills or the ability or the knowledge of where to even just buy seeds. And we have a lot of immigrant families at Horace Mann, but at Kirkwood also. And I went to my dean and I mentioned that I had observed that there was this need for families, specifically at that time at Kirkwood, and she mentioned that part of Kirkwood's job is to be a community college, and part of that community outreach, she felt we were kind of lacking. We have a wonderful new dean at Kirkwood, a woman named Ann Valentine, and she encouraged me to apply for a Johnson County Community Foundation grant. So we did, and we didn't get it. And then we applied again, and we got it. And once we got the grant, she suggested, hey, now we need to find the families. And I think a great partner would be Horace Mann Elementary. And I said, that's a great idea, because actually my kids also go to Horace Mann Elementary. And I don't think she realized that there was a connection for me personally, that my own children also attended that school. And so I met with Lottie Esther because I knew Lottie Esther was a connection point, and Julie, and they helped identify the 15 immigrant families that might be interested in participating. And the goal of the grant was to help do language acquisition, teach numeracy, nutrition, help get the families that were participating into the community. And we did lots of different things, canning and cooking and different ideas of not just growing the food, but then what happens after you start your seeds and grow your food, and what do you do with it.
In the cookbook, did you mention that?
And at the end now, so we started in March, and we've gone all the way through. We'll have our last session in November. And one of the things we just did a couple of nights ago was we had a potluck. And I asked Lottie Esther to find all of the recipes of all the different families. And we're going to put those together in a small cookbook and have cookbooks sort of as a take-home, a final take-home gift or product from the whole process.
Now let us move to Lottie Esther. Tell me, how did you select the families that...
Yeah, I think so. When she came and talked to Julie and me, when she said it would be called Flavors from Home, right there, I noticed that a lot of our family are here, but then they're still missing that flavor from back home. So I went and talked to a lot of families from different countries, because we had 6 different countries participating in this program. And I went around and 15 families decided I want to do it. And then they got excited and they say, I'm going to plant this, this, and this because I haven't seen it. It's back from my country, and I want to see how it grows from a seed all the way to harvest. So they got really excited. So I just went around and asked different families from different countries and invite them.
And all these crops are new to our city here, most of them, right? Mention some of the names.
There were some peppers that were certainly not things we would traditionally grow. We mostly purchased seeds. We started seeds first. That was kind of the first thing, and we started that in March, so before we could really plant anything outside. But all of our seeds came from Seed Savers in Decorah. I feel strongly about supporting Seed Savers and heirloom varieties. So there are things that we can grow in Iowa, but they're not things that we traditionally grow in Iowa. And then there were a few things, they wanted some spicier, hotter peppers that were not available through Seed Savers that I bought through a different catalog. So that was how we kind of got some of the seeds. And then a lot of cilantro, a lot of tomatoes, a lot of onions. We did potatoes that were different potatoes than I've traditionally done, and some corn.
So how do you adapt these new seeds to the climate of Iowa?
Well, that hasn't been a problem lately. Iowa is a fantastic place to grow just about anything. We're of course well known for growing corn and soybeans, but pretty much there's really nothing, maybe except for citrus or bananas, that you can't really grow in Iowa.
And maybe mangoes.
And mango, pineapple.
Pines.
But for the majority of fruits and vegetables that you would want to grow seasonally as an annual crop, there was pretty much nothing that you should be afraid to grow. And I've planted garlic, a few heads of garlic in some of the pots for the families to have in the spring, hopefully.
And one of the things that I was excited about, not just, I mean, as an educator, one of the things that really excited me was not just the gardening, but the experience of parents going to Kirkwood Community College to study. And I think the message that sent not only them, but also their children, to know that their mom or their dad was going to Kirkwood Community College to do this, or that the whole family went over the summer to do something. And just to sort of open yourself up to that idea of what's possible and to start to feel comfortable. They were nervous to go at first, but they came back and they were so excited.
Because the first day that we met with Professor Liz, she had an orientation for all the family, and we did it at Kirkwood. We did it in the orientation room, so that empowered a lot of the family. They felt like we are in college. And then they came with the children, because most all the activities, it was involved the whole family. It was children and parents. So the first day of the orientation, they came really excited because she gave a folder and it said, "Welcome to Kirkwood Community College." So that empowered them as a parent, and also the children felt really proud of the parents, because they say, "My mom is taking a class at college, Kirkwood Community College."
Super.
So
You taught this course?
Yes. Yep.
Was it part of the continuing education program? Or
No. It was just separate through the grant that I received.
So they didn't pay for it?
No.
Oh, that's
No.
wonderful too.
The Johnson County Community Foundation, you can thank the Johnson County Community Foundation for their support.
Oh, great. Do we have some photographs to show?
We do have, we do have some photographs that take us through.
So until we put the photographs on, we'll continue talking until I get the sign that we can start. So, yeah, go ahead.
And the other
continue.
part that I want to say, when we went to the orientation, she gave them a magazine. In that process, for them to selecting the seeds, that really taught them how they're going to grow from a seed all the way to the plant. So that was really important when they get the magazine and they have to select how many vegetables they want to plant in their pot, because everything she taught them how to plant in a pot, because a lot of the family, they live in apartments, a place where they don't have a piece of land, they don't live in a house, so they planted in a pot.
Okay.
And that was another really teachable experience for them, that they will do it. So that was the pot. You wanna?
Yeah. So those are some of the pots, and more than anything, that was part of it, was that there were, because there are fewer opportunities to grow things if you live in an apartment where you just don't have a growing space, trying to maximize what one single pot can do for you. When I was in college, I had access to a garden, but I couldn't go there as frequently as I wanted. And so having a pot made it possible for me to have a little, what I called salsa garden.
Salsa garden.
One of the other things that we did, in addition to having a vegetable growing experience, I felt strongly about connecting how pollinators are important, because I teach environmental science. I felt strongly about how we should also talk about pollinators, and actually if you have a secondary pot that has flowers in it that can draw or attract pollinators to your growing space, then that would also provide for the pollinators, but also help those pollinators pollinate your crops that were in your pot.
So this photograph, sorry to interrupt you, but this photograph was taken in the Johnson County Fair?
Yes, so I actually approached the Johnson County Master Gardeners, And the Master Gardeners facilitated both coming to Kirkwood and helping the families plant a pollinator pot that then they took home and cared for about a month or
like 2
so,
months.
6 weeks. And then I picked up all the pots and I took them to the county fair, and there was a competition just for Flavors of Home to have a showcase of their pots at the fair. And if you attended the fair, you may have noticed these pots that were available. And here are some of the kids with their pots and their ribbons that they won, that they were quite excited about, of course. So this was another way to introduce the families both to other programs that are in our county that are accessible, Johnson County Master Gardeners and Iowa State University Extension, which of course has 4-H and other programs too.
And it was just a great experience for a lot of the families. It was the first time they'd been to the Johnson County Fair, and so to be able to go and not just go, but be an exhibitor there was a great thing.
And this pot, that was a family homework. They all have to take care of this pot for 6 weeks before we bring it to the Johnson County Fair. So the children, they all contribute and work as a family. So the 2 girls that you see, they won the first place, so they were proud because they helped mom take care of the plant for the 6 weeks in their home. And then they come and display at the Johnson County Fair.
Very impressive. And this is another product.
Yep, those are some of the pots.
They look much better than my pot that I tried to grow at home.
These are some of the Master Gardeners who helped facilitate the whole event and made it possible, both through the educational part. I could have helped with the planting of the plants, but I felt it would be more important for the outreach for the Master Gardeners to work with us, and I think they greatly enjoyed and were excited to be part of it.
So the partnership here is between Kirkwood Community College and the Johnson County Extension Office,
Right.
and the Project Green, and of course Horace Mann. So
And
what
Master Gardeners.
Master
Right.
Gardeners. Yep.
And-
So some of the other things that we did, we did a canning afternoon. We canned pickles, and we canned some tomatoes. We did more pickles. We had more cucumbers at that point than we did tomatoes, but we did pickles and tomatoes, and which was a little bit more Iowan. I don't know that a lot of the ladies were accustomed to eating a lot of pickles, but it was more about preparing food, and we also did some drying of some food in dehydrators and talked about freezing and canning and storing food long term. So not just the growing and the harvesting, but then what do you do once you've got the food?
So it was a kind of multidisciplinary project, involving biology, botany, as well as, of course, nutrition.
I think it was really just very close to the perfect project because of the multidisciplinary approach, but also because I think at Mann we're just really fervently believe that we should be a community school and that we're stronger when we have those partnerships. And so this was just a great example of what can happen if you say yes to partnerships and what can come out of that.
Yep. We also had the Iowa State Extension nutritionist, a dietitian and nutritionist come and give a lecture in Spanish that she actually had already prepared in Spanish to the students, to the families, to talk about nutrition and then consumer advocacy, how to make choices about what's the best to buy, a canned or a frozen or a fresh product, and how do you navigate making some of those choices based on price per ounce. And I think that was also a pretty good educational opportunity. Iowa State Extension has a fantastic consumer advocacy website for food specifically and shopping, and that has recipes and different products that you could buy and why they're better or worse from a nutritional standpoint. And they had some recipes that we used, and we sampled some of those at our event for that session. So I thought that was also another one and that was kind of the goal, was I wanted to take it not just from having a garden or growing a plant in a pot, but all the way through from the seeds, planting the seeds, all the way through to eating and sharing a meal together. and then having a cookbook at the end.
I think the most noble thing that I see in this project is your ability to bring what we call diversity and multiculturalism into action.
This is
It's not just a lesson, oh, let us kumbaya and love each other. And no, let us work together, let us produce together, let's accept this food, let us try this one.
This is one of my favorite pictures that just went off. That was the potluck that we had just on Tuesday. That had just the best food ever, and all of us sitting down together to eat it was just wonderful.
And if you see this food from different countries, and they use some of the vegetables that
This is the
That they
picture I
plant,
saw.
yeah.
Mr. Jonkarov brought it back so that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And Zion Lutheran Church.
You don't
who's
have
a-
anything left over from that?
No.
no.
No?
Not much. No.
Next time, make it just before the show so that Mr. Michael Peterson and John Karoff and me can enjoy it.
Yeah. I also wanted to mention the potluck was held at Zion Lutheran Church, and they've been another great community partner with us, both in allowing us to use their space. We now have an on-site food pantry at Mann that is a direct result of their
They
volunteering.
always have good kitchens too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did the canning and preserving workshop at their facility,
Yeah.
also at their kitchen. So
It's good that we give them credit through this
Yes.
program too. Now, how we are going to go from here? What is the future for you?
well, my hope is to do the project again, starting in March. I'm hopeful to partner again with Horace Mann. We were just discussing before the show how that might work out because Horace Mann, because of the construction, the families won't be right there close to Zion, and they'll be removed to a different location. And I don't know that that's necessarily going to make a huge difference, but just logistically how that might operate, because it's going to be a little bit awkward for the year that we're not at Horace Mann and temporarily housed in a different school building.
Right.
So we'll see. I'm hopeful, and I think there are probably 15 other families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they would like to help.
Yeah.
And this family, I already talking to a family, and they were saying this is a nice progress. It take a whole year, but you learn from like seed how you can plant in this pot and plant vegetables and flowers and how beautiful they look, and you just put it outside your patio, and they will grow. So they are already talking to other families in the neighborhood, and they say this will be a program that, as a whole family, it's really teachable moment, and they work together as a team, and they learn a lot of stuff.
And I think that would be my hope, that not just that we can do it again next year, but that also you see it start to take hold and people know that individually they can do this, and it sort of takes over the whole neighborhood. And I also think, going back to, I just can't say enough, I think the importance of, sometimes if you're an immigrant family, the thought of college, the thought of what is Kirkwood Community College, what is the University of Iowa, it sounds so big and so far away and so unattainable. And I'm so excited that we have families and kids that when people now talk about Kirkwood Community College, they say, oh, I've been to Kirkwood Community College, and that's not an intimidating, scary thing. And I
Right.
hope that that opens up possibilities for people
Thinking
that would
about
wanna
the
go on.
future and
Right.
building
Right.
dreams too.
Yes.
I mean,
Right.
that's very essential.
And the learning too, because I hear two children saying, see mom, now the professor show you how to can the pickles. We don't have to buy it at the store. We can do it, mom. So then the mom laughed, yeah, we can do it at home now.
So,
that-
this is again, it's a good introduction to home economics too, because they're thinking now, oh, this can be cheaper than going to Hy-Vee and buy it from there and pay so and so.
And they did mention, did you see how easy it is, mom? And then we don't have to buy it from the store now. We can make it.
Which is more sustainable for our community overall.
So now tell me something about your family. You said that you have kids at Horace Mann.
I do.
Still they are there.
Yep, I have one that just left Horace Mann last year and is a 7th grader at Southeast, and then I have a 9-year-old who's in 4th grade at Horace Mann. So I still have one left.
And is the one that's right now at Horace Mann, is he, right?
She.
Is she contributing to the activity somehow?
She, unfortunately, the days that we hosted the workshops were always mostly on Tuesdays, and Tuesdays were always the worst day for my kids to also participate. And so actually I'm still in trouble for not having them come to the potluck on. But they're always interested when I show them the photographs from the event. Hey, I know that kid. He's in your thing, and so I know that they've talked about it at school. My mom's the one that is doing the stuff with the with the plants, you know, and so. That would be another thing that would be nice, would be to integrate more my own kids in the process.
And you too?
Yes.
You are preparing a student for Horace Mann already?
Yeah, and I also have I have a daughter who is in 6th grade, and she's a Horace Mann.
And she's part of this?
And she came a few workshops.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, this is very exciting, and I hope that other schools will contact you and say, oh, we want to have the same. And this would be part of the curriculum district-wide.
Yes, that would be nice.
And then it will be wonderful. As it combines all this together. And it came from one of the oldest schools, the wise Horace Mann School, right?
Yeah.
On this note, I think we have to wrap it up, and thank you very much, and invite you again to come to us, and thank all the people that are watching us now all over the country, by the way, because Dr. G, he's here, he's the director of this place that hosts us, and Public Access TV was able to host us for 27 years. You can watch us on channel 18, channel 21, and tonight, maximally tomorrow on YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Best wishes to you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.